Tonight, we have a very special guest, a business professional turned full-time Turo host with over 8,000 five-star trips. He has over 5 years experience co-hosting with over 100 vehicles in his fleet. You may recognize him from his interview on Fox 30 News or from Facebook groups where he shares all of his knowledge. Based out of Jacksonville, Florida, please help me welcome Alvin. Thank you so much for taking time out of your very busy schedule to meet with us. Unfortunately, this was the only time that we could catch you while on your family trip. So let's jump right into it.
Yes, thank you, Joe. Good evening, everybody, and thanks for having me. And looking forward to what we're gonna have tonight. And I'm really excited to be here. And thank you so much.
Can you tell me a little bit about what got you into Turo and more specifically co-hosting?
Yes. Okay. Well, I used to work as a full-time medical coder for a hospital for 13 years, and the last 5 years of that, I was working from home and relay rides. That's what Turo was back in the day, and it was really new to me. And I saw an ad, I think, I heard about it on the internet, and I said, "Hey, I'm working from home. I'm not doing anything with my car. It's just sitting there doing nothing on the driveway." So I was curious. I said, "Let me try listing this on Turo and see what happens." And sure enough, after I listed it, it started getting booked every week, and I was like, "Wow, this is something pretty cool." But I was still working my full-time job. But then it became like a side hustle. It I kept adding more cars as I saw the need and I saw the demand. So I knew there was a big demand. I had that light bulb moment. I was like, hold on, this might be something cool. So I started adding more cars, and then co-hosting started organically. It wasn't really my bread and butter yet at the time. This organically happened when I started out with friends and family because I asked them if they wanted to get in on it with me. I said I started this Turo business, and I said, just give me a car and I'll manage it for you. I'll give you a percentage. So I started with relatives, and they, that's where I started my experience. And for 5.5 years now, I've been doing it where I'm managing other people's cars. But it really scaled up when, I started making good numbers on my Turo fleet, and I started posting it on the Turo groups. And a lot of people saw my track record, and I always invited people, hey, if ever you guys are looking for a market for your cars to perform better, send them to me and I'll manage it for you. And that's kind of like how it started. And then I started getting a lot of people from like up north sending me cars. Some of them would send me 2 or 3. Some of them send 5. I had one for Virginia, sent me 10. And now I had one from Maryland. He sent me 24 now. So he has 24 cars from Maryland because 6 months out of the year, it's dormant there. It's so cold. They're not getting any bookings. So he's got a win-win situation. He sent it all to me. He's all passive income now, making way more money than what he used to in Maryland because 6 months out of the year, it's not rented out. Unlike in my market, it's rented out 12 months of the year. It's all sunny weather here. It doesn't get too cold. It does get pretty hot, but hey, there's always a demand. There's always a need here. So now co-host has kind of taken over my fleet. I still own about 30 cars of my own, which is where I started and started growing. But now I got over 90 cars owned by others. Now it's become my bread and butter. Now I don't buy cars anymore. I don't try to buy cars anymore unless I get a good deal on something. That's when I'll consider buying. But right now, I mean, there's no need for me to buy right now because I'm building my fleet through co-hosting.
And are you still managing the operation just yourself?
Yes, actually, I'm still a one-man shop in terms of operations and managing and overseeing, but I do have 2 full-time workers basically that I 1099, and they work about anywhere from 8 to 10 hours a day. I do help once in a while, like if they can't get to something, I'll jump in and do some labor. I do have a couple more part-time people who help as needed. But the main core is like 2 people, me and 2 people. I handle everything as far as scheduling and making sure things are booked. So I gave them a daily itinerary for the morning. They got a task list. Here's the priorities. Here's what need to get done. And then here's the rest that's not priority, but it still needs to get done. So every morning I send them out a priority list. That's what they hit. That's what they do first. And then I'm still the one approving all of the bookings. And my best friend is CarSync. My best friend is automated systems. I don't text or call anybody unless I have to, unless there's an extra question.
Yeah.
Other than that, everything's automated. So all I'm doing is making sure, they got the license verified, making sure I got the pictures. But I'm not doing the pictures either. My guys are doing most of the pictures. They do all the check-ins and check-outs.
Yeah.
So basically, my main goal is growing the business. So I'm focused more on networking. I'm focused more on overseeing and managing. But it's basically it's not a large operation, even though I just manage it efficiently because of the systems in place that I have.
Yeah.
If you don't have the system and you don't have the organizational skills to do it, you'll be chaotic. You'll be overwhelmed. So right now, as I expand, I always consider adding more people to my team to be like doing the labor and stuff. But I'm paying a lot of people too. That's taking up a lot of my time. Since I got over 40 investors, like 40 co-hosts. So some have one car, some have 3 cars, some have 8 cars, some have 10 cars. So now I've developed a new problem since I'm growing so fast that I probably need a payroll system down. I probably need to hire like an admin person. But right now, I'm still holding it down, but I see the need coming.
So I don't know if it's something you can share, but what is the typical co-host split?
Everybody does it differently. Some people do a fixed rate per car. I don't. That's not my business model. I've never done it like that. But most of it, I'll start at like 65% to the other host that owns the car. For example, 65 to them, 35 to me. That's after Turo's cut. Okay, so like Turo gives me 90, right? And then from the 90, I would give the owner 65% of the 90, and then I would keep 35%. And then from there, we can negotiate it. The more cars they give me, the higher percentage they'll get. And all the expenses are paid by the owner, not me. But they do get a cut. They do get the same percentage on deliveries and any incidentals. They do get the same percentage. Like if there's mileage overage, if there's deliveries, they get 65% of that. If there's smoking, if there's cleaning, they get 65% of that. But their expenses are like oil changes, all the tires, all the topping off gas, all the Ubering. They got to pay for that. But I could also take it off the earnings, so there's no out of pocket too.
Okay.
And I pay my people. I pay my co-hosts like the day the renter picks up. I don't wait for Turo to pay me. So I just front the money like that because I know Turo is going to pay me eventually for it. And then if they extend or anything or do any alterations, then I continue adding money to that booking, and I show them screenshots of all my bookings. The moment Turo gets booked, I show them a screenshot of how much Turo is going to pay me, and boom, 65%. Now, if they add more cars, I got tier levels where I'll go up to 70. Sometimes I'll go up to 75, depending on how many cars they give me. I do also charge a flat rate for parking and for a car wash. That's usually about $50 a month for parking per car per month, and then $15 a month for car washing per month per car. So that's typically the only regular expenses they have.
So do you have contracts in place with everyone that you're doing co-hosting with? I know you started it with like friends and family, so maybe that while you were learning, but as you've learned and as you've grown, do you have something like that in place now, or have you always had?
Yeah, I have my own contract in place, set up by my attorney. It's basically it's customizable though. Like if I need to tweak a deal, then yeah, I can edit it and then use it again and then send a new one out. But yeah, I have it pretty tailored fit to what my operations are and how I do things. And yeah, so it's a win-win situation for co-hosts, for hosts that don't have the time to do Turo,
Right.
or they're tied, or they don't get enough bookings in their market. I basically turn their they start making money in their sleep, and I do all the work for them, start to finish. They don't have to do anything anymore. All they do is collect money and then laugh their way to the bank.
And under whose account are all of the vehicles? Is it under your account or do they remain under theirs?
Yeah, good question. Basically they delete it off their account and I list it on my account. Which the reason why I do that is because I want to be an efficient manager where I know on the spot when the car is booked. I know how to deal with the renters who are booking. it's hard to do it where another host is doing it from a different city, because a lot of times they're not available. They don't see it. I've had that nightmare before. That's why I do not like doing it. It has to be on my account because I have control on who's booking or not. I've had nightmares before where the other host wanted to keep it on his account. He'd forget sometimes it got booked. And then he's like, hey, Al, is this car ready in 10 minutes? I'm like, what are you talking about, bro? You got to give me at least a 2-hour heads up or a 1-hour heads up. So I've learned my lesson. I got to list it on my account. And it's a benefit. When I listed on my account, I got over 8,300 trips. I've built an army of followers for the last 5.5 years where they only want when I list. I don't care about anybody else's listings. So that's the advantage when I list the car. And it'll be backed by thousands of 5-star reviews. So that's the kind of backing you'll have once I list it.
Okay, so ultimately, since the cars are in your account, who's responsible for deductibles and who gets to choose the plans? Is that based on what you're choosing is, or do they get a say so?
Good question. Well, the most ideal situation is to stay on the 90 plan because that's going to maximize revenue. That'll make it make more sense for the co-host, because if you stay on like the 75 plan, for example, the revenue is going to be a lot smaller. And on the $2,500 deductible, a lot of people are scared of it. But I'm not scared of it because I have the systems in place. I have the vendors in place that could mitigate or reduce or eliminate that deductible. And I know how to negotiate with renters. I know how to go after third-party insurance companies if they're at fault. I know how to file a diminished value claim and a loss of rental use claim and a damage claim all on the third party at fault party. If I know the insurance of the third party that hit my car when my renter is in it, I go after them. I file it on Turo, but I choose to work it out with the guest. And then I get 20 days to make it happen. I get 20 days to go after that insurance. Hopefully they got coverage. If they have coverage, then boom, we're golden. We're probably going to make money because I'm going to get paid diminished value a lot of times. I'm going to get paid loss of rental use a lot of times that Turo doesn't offer. And guess what? What deductible? There is no deductible if I get paid by the third party insurance. If there is no third party involved, I go after the renter. If they have insurance, I straight up ask them, hey, who's your personal insurance with? Do you want to file with them to save you money? Because Turo's probably going to charge you. I look at their plan, and if I see them they're on minimum, I say, look, you want Turo to charge you $3,000 on that deductible? Or do you want to go with your $500 deductible with Geico and you save you $2,500? And a lot of times they'll be like, okay, let's go with Geico, Or I just try to tell them, look, the damage estimate is like $1,500. If you don't have insurance, I got a good body guy who could fix it for only like $600. If you give me $600, I won't file it on Turo anymore. Your record will be clean. You won't get blocked, and you won't have any collections going after you if you don't pay them what Turo tries to bill you for on the claim. And I'm about 60% successful of getting some kind of money from them, But other than that, if all else fails, I got a good body guy who could do it for cheaper labor. Like if it's $1,200 in damages, he'll probably do it for $600. And so instead of paying what people fear of $2,500 on these damages, I'm only paying less than that or nothing, or I'm making money if I go with a third party claim or something. So there's always that risk that you could go out of pocket if all else fails, all the options fails, but it's rare. First of all, only 2% of rentals get in accidents. And out of that 2%, not all of them are like 2,500 damages and more. Probably like half of those are just minor stuff. So there's ways to mitigate it and reduce it and eliminate it. But there's always that chance where you'll go out of pocket. But a lot of times with bigger damages, for example, if the estimate came in at like $8,000, okay, Turo takes out $2,500, you're still with $5,500. My guy will probably do it for like $4,000. He'll probably do it for $3,500. So that $3,500 minus the $55 that Turo paid me, there's profit there, or there's money to be made there. So that's the advantage of having a good body guy. He discounts the labor because the business I'm giving him, I was able to create a relationship with him where he's giving me really good discounts on labor and he's finding me cheaper parts.
Yeah, I saw that you shared a post on Facebook that talked a little bit about what kind of relationships, like which are the critical relationships you want to build as a Turo host. So Thank you. Well, definitely keeping in mind all the things that you're saying. And I do want to pick your brain, kind of steering back into the co-hosting topic. I want to pick your brain on that a little bit more. For anyone that's looking for a good co-host, is there some advice that you have on what someone looking for a good co-host should do? What should they look for? How do they vet who they're going to be working with?
Yeah, the first thing I'd ask them, let me see your Turo profile. Yeah, if you're thinking about entrusting somebody with your car, you got to vet that co-host. You got to vet that host by first of all looking at their profile, see how many cars they have, see how many trips they have, and see what kind of ratings they have. From there, you could tell a lot. So if they only have, I think to entrust somebody with a car, I mean, there's so many experiences you need to experience, so many scenarios you need to experience in order for a co-host to be trusted. So I suggest a minimum of 1,000 trips, and their rating better be a 5.0. If they're like a 4.8 or 4.7, I wouldn't go with that, because why are they getting lower ratings? What are they doing wrong?
Right.
I've got 8,300 trips, but I'm still 5.0. And so for someone to be at 4.5 or 4.2 at only 500 trips, there's something going on there that they're not doing efficiently. And on top of that, I would ask them, okay, what's your plan? Do you have a contract in place? Because a lot of these co-hosts, they're just trying to add cars as much as they can, but they've never experienced it. They don't know scenarios. Like, how would you handle a claim? What kind of plan would you do on? Do you have a body shop that you'd work with? How would you pay me? I got, I would vet, like, how are they going to pay you, and how would you see the bookings? Are you going to show me each booking? Like, if my car books, are you going to show me how much Turo is paying you, so I can know how much you're making and how much I'm supposed to get? If they're not willing to disclose each booking, then I think that's shady. They should be transparent. Right. They definitely should be a power host. I wouldn't do it with just an all-star host, because all-star host is so easy to attain that. Anybody could become an all-star host over time. But power host is a little harder, although it's not impossible. A lot of people are power hosts too. But at a minimum, it has to be a power host. And not only 1,000 trips or more, like, how many years have they been doing it? Because a lot of people, they get like 500 trips in 6 months. It's because they bought like 20 cars in a month, but they've only been doing it for 6 months. So they still haven't like seen it all. You got to learn. Like, I've been through a lot. Like, I'm almost 6 years in, and I still learn. I don't claim to know everything. I still learn new things. But what more with people who've been doing it less than me? So I've learned a lot of mistakes, and I've corrected it. And even with co-hosting, I've been co-hosting for 5.5 years, almost 6 years. So I've seen all the scenarios, the most common scenarios, and every time, I want them to trust me. So that's why I'm full transparency. And I show them every penny Turo pays me. If the guest is late, or if they did more miles, or if they smoke, they're clean, have to clean, I'll show them all that.
What about the other way around for someone that is looking to co-host? Like, where would someone that has never done it before get started?
Or I would start with the way I did it. I would start co-hosting like relatives and friends, and just try it out, and that's where you'll learn. But they have to be people you trust. You don't want somebody you've never met. All of a sudden, you're taking their car and you got no experience. You gotta the only way to learn is to try it out and experience it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, co-hosting is nothing easy to just say, okay, I'm gonna start co-hosting 10 cars. It's not like that. You gotta have the experience down. You gotta know what you're doing. You gotta have systems set up too. I would add that too. Make sure they got like car sync, or how are they automated? Like, and how many workers do they have? Do they have enough workers to take the volume you're gonna give them? Yeah. So there's definitely some criteria I would ask. And then people who are looking to co-host, for me, it organically happened. Like, it wasn't my main goal when I first started Turo. My main goal was just building my own fleet. But then as I realized that I'm helping people grow, I'm helping them with their problems. Because a lot of these problems, they don't have time for it. Like, or they got other jobs, or like I said, it's too cold up north. It doesn't get rented for 3 to 6 months out of the year. So it there's a fulfilling thing about co-hosting too. When I have a co-host now. She gave me all of her cars because her husband uh became sick, or he got in a freak accident and he can't run his fleet anymore. So she asked me to help them because he's paralyzed and stuff. So I said, oh, yeah. So now they're making money while she's able to take care of her husband because he's
That's
paralyzed.
amazing.
So,
Yeah.
so I took over her fleet. Now she's forever grateful now that she's still able to continue it. So stuff like that. I mean, it's there's a fulfilling side to co-hosting too. But I really seriously think you gotta be experienced before you co-host, because you gotta know what you're doing, because you're dealing with other people's property. So if you don't know what to do, how to handle damage, if you don't know how to handle if their car gets stolen, what are you gonna do? If there's
Yeah.
damage done by your worker, what are you gonna do? Is that in the contract? So that's all in my contract. Like, what are you gonna do? How often? What are you gonna do with insurance? How do you know they're gonna be insured while you have their car? So that's another thing. So insurance is big too. You got to make sure they're not using all private insurance where they get dropped. You got to use the ones that Turo friendly insurance.
And you've done so much already in the 6 years that you have been doing Turo and the addition of co-hosting. Do you have specific goals that you're trying to reach in 2023? And what do those look like?
Here's my goal. My goal is to not have to buy cars anymore, which I'm almost there. And I just continue adding more to my fleet through co-hosting, because from a host perspective, from my business perspective, I'd rather keep my debt low. In 3 to 4 years, most of my cars are going to be paid off. So I'll be debt free on as far as my assets. And then I'm just managing other people's assets. So my only expenses are my employees and my lot, my parking. And then that's it. I mean, just maintenance on my own cars. But other than that, I mean, I love co-hosting because I'm helping other people. Plus, it's efficient on your business too. It's not adding debt to my personal and my business load, and it's making people happy.
Yeah. And there's one more question that I want to ask you before I let you go. I know you're extremely busy and you got family to tend to too. So my last question is, if you have any books, any channels, any articles that you'd like to recommend, maybe something that's helped you grow as a person and maybe even as a host.
I want to learn the most in how to run a business and how to do Turo successfully. I recommend always staying active in the Turo groups, especially the Turo that has over 60,000 members. I mean, that's a lot of, just read through a bunch of them daily. A lot of them, are negative, but there's some good golden nuggets you could gain from that. And also, I just like reading on Google News about car sharing as well. So you can stay on top. You can stay current on how the car sharing trend is, how Turo is doing. I even Google what how Turo is doing. One thing I'll do too is, what I did, to be honest with you, I found, I visited the top hosts in the country. I went to their facility, and I got to know them. I got to know people. I got to know them on a personal basis, and I just wanted to see how they do things. So if you really want to learn, you go to these people and visit them.
Mm-hmm.
So I visited them literally. I went to LA. I flew to LA to visit them. And people, if you want to learn, you learn from the best. You go to the best.
Yeah.
And I developed relationships, and you got to network. So I've met people on the Turo groups, and now I got a pretty good network. So you can't be afraid to network. If you're doing good, let me tell you something, Joe. If you're doing good on Turo and you got numbers to prove it, you network yourself on those Turo groups and say, hey, look, this is what I'm doing. I'm ready to get more cars. I've been managing, here's my success. And trust me, people will come to you. So that's what I did. That's all I did. I networked myself. But you gotta have the track record to back it up. You can't be saying, hey, I'm gonna manage your car. I got 50 trips. Hey, send me all your cars, guys. I got 100 trips. I've been doing it for 6 months. Look, it's all 5-star, 5.0, and you only have 500 trips. That's nothing. They haven't seen anything yet. So you got to make sure you can back it up. You got to have street cred.
Yeah, and I see you're very credible. I mean, when I see your posts come up on Facebook, usually people are very appreciative of everything you have to say, because I think, like you said, you have that credibility already.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So yeah, I think the sky's the limit. My market is really unsaturated, thankfully. Unlike a lot of markets, they're not. A lot of people there's a ton of hosts on there. Jacksonville, Florida is really untapped. I mean, and I started early. I trailblazed this city like 5.5 years ago. No one was doing Turo. Only I was the only active one. And so over the years, I've just grown this clientele base that are loyal, and it's just grown and grown. So for me, the sky's the limit. You know, there's a 1.7 million people here in Jacksonville, and there's only like 500 active cars on Turo, and half of those are not even like legit hosts. A lot of them just put cars out there, but they never get any trips. So I'm at over 100 right now. So out of the 500, I'm at like, you know, at least 20 or 30% of that is me.
Awesome. Well, Alvin, I don't want to take more time away from you, but I've already gone over what I said it would take. So I just want to say thank you so much for sharing all of the information that you shared with us, especially for co-hosting. I've never done it myself, and it's been something that I've had questions on, or I've considered. So to hear it from you, someone who has as many cars as you co-hosted, and for as long as you've done it. So thank you so much for sharing all that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you so much, Joe, for your time and this opportunity. And yeah, I look forward to keeping in touch with you guys. If you guys want to get a hold of me, that's fine too. I do, I am willing to help people out. I'll tell you that. So if you guys want to personal message me on Facebook, or if you guys want to visit my my profile on Turo, it's rentnicecars.com. That's my Turo profile, rentnicecars.com. But yeah, shoot me a message if you guys need help in terms of growing your business through business credit, through business lines, through growing your fleet through business only, with only a personal guarantor, and it's not reporting on your personal credit. I've got a connection to that. Okay. If you want help with co-hosting, if anybody wants to leave cars with me, I that's my bread and butter. I help manage. If anybody wants help in general on how to win on Turo, you guys just message me and I can help you guys out.
No, thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you for your openness, and thank you for your willingness to help not just us, but everyone in general who's trying to get into the business and expand. All right, take care, Alvin.
All right, appreciate you. Have a good night.